Well, today we're going to have a quick look at one of the smaller Captain Scarlet pieces of merchandise, and that's the legendary Timpo figure. So Timpo were a company that created, I suppose back then we would call them 54mm, but 1/32 scale figures. They did Wild West, World War II, a little bit of everything, but certainly the Wild West ones were the ones I had as a kid. And Timpo figures differed from, say, a Britain's figure. This is a slightly more modern era Britain's, but Britain's had the 1978, so yeah, later in their run. Britain's had the pedigree, because Britons have been making tin soldiers since the year 1898. But they were like Airfix models, but ready painted, so they weren't movable, you couldn't do much with them, but they were great. They were also, and this is the crunch factor, they were quite expensive. So as a struggling kid on very little pocket money, Britons were pretty much out of my reach. I might get a box set for one Christmas or a birthday, a special present, but on the whole, couldn't afford to buy them. There was one local shop in Oxford, Boswell's. It was like a sort of all-in-one store, so it's like 3 different flights, 3 different floors, sold a bit of everything. Downstairs was a toy department, and it was great, but they had a whole Britain's display down there, and I used to look at them and lust after them. But having said that, now as an adult, I much prefer Timpo. I haven't got many. I'm always on the lookout for them. This is actually a knockoff Hong Kong reproduction one using the same molds, but it'll give you an idea of what they were. So they would come in various parts, and the idea was you could mix and match, so you could pop them apart, so you could make your own figures that were unique. And as a kid, that was very desirable, because the only thing with like Airfix, I loved Airfix figures, was they all had similar poses, so you'd get 6 of the same soldier, and you could swap heads. And the good thing about them is they were moulded in colour, so quite basic, but you could swap the heads, the hats, the helmets were loose, the weapons were separate, which was great as a kid, but did mean for collecting them now, most of the figures you see are missing all the little bits. They did do box sets. I remember having a Timpo stagecoach, which I really loved, but the thing one I really loved, I think I've mentioned it before, is the it was like the rail, the hand cart, where you'd have a bar and you'd it features heavily in one of the Dad's Army stories, and I had one of them and it actually worked. So if you pumped the handle up and down, it moved along. It was great. But yeah, so Timpo were, the other big thing about them was they were cheap. So you could, I think in their heyday they were about £1 each, something like that. So you could build up quite an army of them fairly cheaply, and you could buy them in box sets, but you could also buy them loose, which was such a good idea. I mean, it was such a clever idea, this mix and match, that when Charlie did their Swap It's Dalek, they did the same thing, which that's for another video. And one of the sets that Timpo did was a set for Captain Scarlet. It was a bit of a failure for various reasons. So they did figures for all the captains, so you could get Captain Scarlet, Captain Blue, Lieutenant Green, Colonel White. Trouble is, it was all the same mould, so we're all in this pointy pose, pointing out something, presumably a Mr. Threat, moulded in the colours, but all with the same face, the same body, the same everything. And the big thing about Timpo, of course, as we said, is you'd buy multiple of the same figure, because you can mix and match them with other figures and make your own ones. You couldn't really do that with Captain Scarlet. The whole sort of modular nature of it is a bit wasted, because you're not going to want red boots with a white top. Well, you might, I suppose, if you were weird. And the other thing is that limited the sales, so kids would buy one of each. I think there was about 6 or 7 in the set. Buy one of each, and that's it. You're finished as a customer in that range. So they disappeared pretty quickly. They're quite rare now. You can still pick them up, but they generally, like most Timpo toys, you'll get ones where the arms are chewed off, or perhaps the peak of the cap's missing. This one's in really good condition, almost mint, I would say. I picked it up on eBay recently. I've always wanted one, but I didn't want to get a broken one. So comprises of head, body, legs, base. No separate weapon. It would have been nice to have a Spectrum pistol to go in hand. Would have made a bit more sense of the pose, but then I suppose they would have all been lost. He's out of scale with like the dinky SPVs, but you could still, as a kid, you could play with them. Like the Corgi toys, with the figures were always out of scale with them, but you'd still play with them. So I remember sort of my brother having a couple of these and used to play with them. They went the same way of all my figures. They all disappeared. I'm going to keep an eye out for the rest of them, but they sort of go for about between 15-20 quid each now, when you can see them in good condition. I don't think I've ever seen in the flesh seen a full set. They're sort of that rare. I imagine some colours are rarer than others. Probably Captain Scarlet's the most common because everyone would have bought him, of course. But if you've got a full set, let me know. If you've remember these figures, did you have a favourite? It's going to be Scarlet, isn't it? Of course it is. Everyone wants to be Scarlet. Let's see if we can get a close-up on the face. It's not bad. Sort of generic likeness. But they all had the same face. But yeah, Timpo, what a memory. Did you have the other sets? There's still a big collector's market for them. Like I say, the actual military ones go for quite a bit of money. I always, if I see them at boot sales, I always sort of grab them no matter what condition, because you can use them for spares, and as the original thing you can mix and match. I suppose we could, okay, I'm going to put Captain Scarlet's body on a pair of blue trousers. We see what it looks like. Hold on. Captain Scarlet on his day off. He likes blue jeans. You could even swap the heads in that, make different, you could do a Captain Scarlet sort of uncapped version. Do you ever go with that? Hold on. Yeah, it doesn't quite work, does it? The interesting thing about this is Scarlet's got a big old neck plug, which is bigger than a normal sort of Timpo neck plug, which was quite slim, which is a sort of unusual thing to do. Again, it suggests that they did not expect people to interchange these with their normal figures. Let's pop him back together. So yeah, really glad to have him in the collection. He'll sit on the shelf next to his SPV and the MI figures and that. But yeah, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you can. We have a Patreon page now, so please visit that if you want to help out the channel. And I've popped all my 3D resin print STL files for the weapons and stuff on there as well. So if you want those files, become a patron and you've got access to them. I'll be adding to them as I do them. But thanks for watching. I'll see you again next time. Thanks then. Bye.